Look, what Hamas did on October 7 was barbaric, was a genocide motivated by sick religion. They attempted to ethnically cleanse a race, a human race. And this is a capital crime that cannot be forgiven. The situation to legitimize such a movement, give them legitimacy, and after that, in fact, to sit down on the negotiating table, then reward them with a state and political gain and financial gain. This is exactly what they wanted. Hamas, on October 7 in the morning, they killed Jewish children for revenge. In the afternoon, they killed Arab children, their own children. And by the way, this is a Palestinian practice to sacrifice their own children for political and financial gain. This is the essence of their game. And I am a living example. If you look at me, when my father had to choose between his Hamas Palestinian ideology and his own son, he chose the non-existential. He chose Allah over his son. And this is a living example to show you how these people function. They are willing to sacrifice not only 40,000 Gazans, they are willing to sacrifice an entire region religiously for something that does not exist. So with that said, Israel has no choice. It's not only about the children and the civilians of Gaza. It's about also the future of an entire generation in the Middle East. And I don't think there is a way around eradicating Hamas and removing them from power. We may suffer right now, and the Gazans may suffer, but the future will be bright without, at least brighter without Hamas.
Yeah, I mean, he did this ode to children, and I agree. 34 kids were killed on October 7th. That's heartbreaking. 15,000 Palestinian children have been killed.
They killed every child they found on October 7. If they found 10,000 children, they would have killed 10,000 children.
Okay.
It is not about head count.
Okay, so I'm not excusing a single child that Hamas killed, but it seems like you're saying, 15,000 Palestinian kids. So what? Israel had to do it. We have to eradicate Hamas.
Don't put words in my mouth. Don't put words in my mouth. And don't think that you hold the higher moral ground.
I do.
Those are my children. Those are my brothers and my sisters. And you are not. Don't pose as the one you care more. You don't care more than I do for the Palestinian children or for the Arab children.
All right.
The reason why are they suffering? This is the most important thing.
Mosab, and
you don't mind that Israel just murdered
1 moment,
15,000 of
Cenk, I'm going to pull moderator prerogative moment. Let's just take a breath and take it down 10 degrees. I understand you're both riled because you both care about this.
Okay. So there is no need to take the higher moral ground. You know, here I speak on behalf of the Arab and the Jewish
Mosab,
children.
You've made your point.
They are
you've made your
very
point. You've
important
made your
to
point
me.
effectively and passionately.
I'm not being selective, and I don't need him to put words in my mouth.
15,000 children at a minimum are dead, and you're saying keep going.
Why? Why are they dead?
You're saying keep going.
Why are they dead?
So more children, thousands
Why
more children.
Why the children of Gaza are dead? Answer the question.
So it's not because of the Israeli bombs, right? Israel made, the Hamas made the Israelis kill the Palestinian children. It's always the Palestinians' fault. Always, right? You said the Palestinians don't even exist, and you say that you were looking out for them. You were an Israeli spy, right?
I said Palestine does not exist. I did not say Arabs don't exist.
Okay, but you're claiming that you care about the Palestinians, but you were an Israeli spy. And you said your father sold you out. Didn't you sell out your dad? I'm not saying you shouldn't have. I get why you did it, but you sold him out. He didn't sell you out. You were the traitor.
So basically right now you're just going on a personal attack. Let me ask you this question.
No, because I'm addressing what you said.
Okay, I want to answer you.
Okay.
If you had information about a suicide bomber that is about to kill people indiscriminately, would you report them to the authorities?
I didn't blame you for what you did. I said
answer the question, yes or no. Would you report it?
Of course I would report a terrorist attack.
Would that make you a traitor?
Well, it depends on the situation. But when you said that your dad sold you out, that's just not true.
Okay. I'm going to step in again because it has gotten personal. I understand you're both feeling it, and that's just not what we do here. We want to keep it on the points. So
Okay.
I understand feelings have been hurt.
Yeah, but then I need to answer his question. I need to answer his
no,
question.
I want to move on from that question because we're gonna keep going in that direction in circles. Fair enough.
But can I answer the
No. I got to
Yeah, I'm with
pull
you.
this
Go
and move on. Okay, very briefly, I want to go to a question that just comes out of the news, and it's the fact that Hamas has a new leader. Yahya Sinwar has taken over. He was the architect of the October 7th attacks, or certainly is given credit for that after the assassination of Haniya. I just want to get your take on whether that changes in any way the dynamic for the possibility of any kind of negotiated settlement between Israel and Hamas, which you have been saying is theoretically possible, you're saying is impossible, but does that change the calculation whatsoever?
See, this is why I don't think, well, it's not that I don't think that Israel wants peace, and we should distinguish between the people of Israel and the government of Israel. I believe the people of Israel do want peace. I think that they're greatly misguided these days about how to get there. They believe that just killing more Palestinians might get them there. It's never, ever going to get them to peace. It's going to get them to more war. But their government is very clear. And one of the ways that they have prevented peace is they just killed Ismail Haniyeh, who was the moderate within Hamas. Now you can say, oh, no, Hamas has no moderates. They're all Nazis.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. But every movement has somebody who wants to get to peace, wants to do a negotiation, is more moderate relative to their movement, right? And Haniyeh was that guy. And Israel knew that. So they killed the moderate, leaving more extremists like Yahya Sinwar. And now Yahya Sinwar...
What does Israel get out of that, tactically or strategically?
We have to acknowledge the geopolitical circumstance as it stands today. Netanyahu is deeply unpopular in Israel, will almost certainly lose an election if it's called right now. He knows that. Everyone is aware of that. That is why a lot of Israelis are frustrated with Netanyahu for not getting the hostages back home for his own political ambitions. So the only way that the election would be called now is if the far right-wing Ben-Gvir and Smotrich pull out of the government. The only way that they would pull out of the government is if there's a ceasefire. And they have said that very clearly on the record. They have said if there's a ceasefire, we're going to end this government and Netanyahu will lose probably this time forever. So Netanyahu has every incentive to kill the moderates inside Hamas so that the extremists take over. And he goes, oh, well, golly, gee, now I double can't get to a peace deal.
Okay, let me take the question also to you, Mosab, about Sinwar taking over. Does that change the calculation in any way for you?
Look, there is no difference between Sinwar and Haniyeh. They are both complicit in the crime. Both of them have blood on their hands. Both of them sacrificed children as a strategy to gain power, and they couldn't be more careless about the future of the Palestinian children. And I think both leaders must be brought to justice. And if it's not possible, and there is no way around it, then killing them is a virtue. Killing them, in fact, is a day of celebration because we know that heads of evil are being removed from power. Now, for those who dare to question Israel without addressing this evil practice of sacrificing children done by Haniyeh and Sinwar and all the Palestinian ideologists throughout the century, by the way. If they haven't already condemned this culture that targets children and put them in harm's way, then they don't have the authority to question what Israel is doing. If they want to question what Israel is doing, they first must address this evil practice. Otherwise, they are hypocrites, and they just pose as they are standing on a high moral ground, and they have the authority to question people and label this person this and that person that. This is not how it works. If you want to be truthful, then you have to be truthful all the way.
All right, we're going to take a break. I just want to say to those of you who are listening, there are many, many more debates that we've got on our website. Not all of them reach this level of intensity, but some of them do. But all of them end up shedding light, as I feel this one is as well. Recent topics we've taken on include: should Biden step down? Is wokeness killing comedy? Is the two-state solution still viable? All of that and more is at opentodebate.org. This is Open to Debate. I'm John Donvan, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Open to Debate. I'm John Donvan. The question we're taking on, can Israel make peace with Hamas? Our guests are Cenk Uygur and Mosab Hassan Yousef. Let me say that again, and Mosab Hassan Yousef. What we like to do in our debates at this point is ask for people who are experts in the topic or following the topic to also submit questions that I'll read to you, and some of them have given a lot of thought to these. The first one I want to bring in it comes from Nicole Naraya, who is a senior politics reporter at Vox, who has covered the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict extensively and helped lead the organization's coverage of the Gaza war. Her question is this: the kind of regional escalation many experts warned of is now here. In the wake of the recent assassinations of top Hamas and Hezbollah leaders, Hezbollah and its Iranian allies are expected to retaliate harshly. The U.S. is moving military assets to the Middle East in preparation. Full-scale war appears possible. Will that force Israel to turn its attention away from Hamas in Gaza, if only because it faces a more pressing threat along its northern border with Lebanon? To what extent might that force Netanyahu's hand in accepting a Gaza ceasefire deal and shift Israeli public opinion on continuing the war in Gaza? Would you like to take that first?
Sure. Nothing's going to force Netanyahu to take a ceasefire deal, because if he does, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich leave the government, he loses power. He doesn't care about the Israeli people. He obviously doesn't care about the hostages. My God, he has no concern at all for the Palestinians or the giant war he's trying to start in the Middle East. He has no concern for the Americans who have to pay for it in both blood and treasure for the wars he's starting. All he cares about is me, me, me. And that's why 72% of Israelis say that he should leave, and he's deeply unpopular. And so that's why I say never say that all Israelis are this way or that way. Like any nation, there's great variety. And right now, like a lot of nations, they're like, we did not like Dick Cheney and George Bush when they executed the Iraq war. A lot of Israelis don't like Netanyahu. Is he agitating for more war? Of course. He bombed Tehran, Beirut, and Damascus. How much more of a warmonger can you be? So, I mean, you talk about sacrificing children. I keep saying I can't stand that 34 kids were killed in Israel. I can't stand that over 15,000 kids have been killed in the Palestinian areas. But how could you possibly say, can you believe Hamas killed those kids? But you won't say, can you believe Netanyahu killed the Palestinian kids? So many more, a stadium full of kids. Isn't that enough? Is anything ever enough? No. It's all Hamas's fault. They made us kill them. They made us do this. We're never going to get to peace with them because they're the violent ones. Well, when you kill 35 times as many civilians as they did, you don't get to say that they're the violent ones because you're 30 times as violent. But I'm never going to hold that against the Israeli people. I just want to get the peace so we can have two beautiful nations. We've got to get there. And the way to get there is not more war. It's more peace.
Do you want me to repeat the question, or do you want to respond to Cenk's response?
Well, I think you're just a hypocrite.
Okay, now you're getting personal.
And I think, yes, I am personal.
Well, let's not call each other hypocrites or other names, okay?
You have children.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to choose between your two children and other people's children, what do you choose? If you had no choice.
But you do have a choice. You have no choice but to murder 15,000
kids?
Their
children or your children? What would you choose?
I'm stepping in again because we're getting to very rhetorically obvious questions that are not helping people understand the issue that's here.
Because he cannot answer this question. Because if it comes to him and his family, then it's a different business.
You would kill